let's just start with what Elko's guys just did down in BR. Because you and I, Russillo, many others, but certainly that trio of guys that go back to our time on the show together, our affinity for that place at night in particular, everyone sings about it, but it's at the top of our list. As we've described, there are many places that are great. That place, when it's right, has no peer in our estimation. Am I saying this correctly?
Correct.
A&M went in there and did the unthinkable. They took over that stadium. In the fourth quarter, when the fourth quarter starts and they're on the 1 yard line after they have a 21-0 third quarter, and they're singing the war hymn, and it's all those folks, gig 'em Aggies, doing their thing. I've never seen that like that ever. And all I can say, and I'll let you kind of cover the nuts and bolts of it because you've been on this Elko train early. But tonight, against a flawed LSU team who's not as good as we thought, who's banged up on the O-line and just isn't great, I don't care. I don't care that they're not vintage. I don't care. You go into that joint and do that in the second half, trailing against a desperate team that has to have it, and you hang, let them hang and drag them on that field like that for the 30 minutes that equal the second part of the 60, you got nothing but my respect.
Yeah, totally impressive. I saw it like that last year when Milroe went in there with Alabama and Kalen DeBoer. It was empty. Fourth quarter, empty. As good as it was, again, same thing. Rain, game day was there. DeBoer's plan was awesome, and they ghosted the joint, the home people. And I had that feeling in the back of my head all week going up to this game because you mentioned it, and we've talked about LSU every single week. I haven't understood the premise of the offense, especially with the lack of ability on the offensive line.
It's bad.
But with all that, they're winning at halftime.
18-14.
And A&M goes into the locker room. I can't imagine how many times Elko's gone in there. He's been an assistant at A&M. Fowler and Herbstreit did the history of the last time that A&M went in there and won. And you talk about a plan and a mindset coming out of a locker room. Like, it was like Concepcion runs the pump back. It's done.
Done.
Like that. It's over.
And Reed, we've raved about him. I still think, and right before halftime, before that second pick, I'm thinking in my brain, why hadn't he talked about more for Heisman? Why don't we throw his name in there while we're at it? And then there's some picks, and you're like, okay.
Tip balls, yeah.
Exactly. That one was slightly deflected. The other's a full-on tip. But shakes that off, as does the entire team. I can only imagine the nuts and bolts of Elko's message to his group are, we're better than them, and we have 30 minutes to show it and show everybody who we are, and that's exactly what they did. But kicking it to Concepcion, right? Was that in the punt game? Yeah, right. I feel like he makes the hardest catches look like video games. It's stupid how good his hands are. But
yeah.
LSU's flawed, but they were dangerous at home at night because they had to have it. Nothing more dangerous than the wounded animal. Well, I don't know if they're dead, but there's a carcass on the side of the road in BR because the Aggies stomped them out and kicked them to the side, man. I get what you're saying about Bama, and it's easy to forget. But Bama and them have a rivalry that I think is way different than A&M and LSU. When I think of A&M and LSU, I think about the most ridiculous games ever played, like 19 overtimes and all the rest of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They've had plenty of history, but the Bama-LSU history is on a different level. That's more Ali Frazier, in my estimation. But for Elko to come in post-Jimbo and to pull the 180 the way they have, man, they could win it all.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And to me, yesterday on College Football Live, I we talked about this game, and I said, to me, it's about A&M's defense, because I know what Marcel Reed is. I saw what they did in the portal in getting Concepcion and Craver, who are awesome. They have plenty. Like, they lost their best running back in Moss, and they come in with Owens, and then 22 or 23s running down the sideline, looking like he's going to run a 4.2 40. So to me, it was about the defense, because they went to Notre Dame, got a win. They gave up 40 or 41. Then the next road game was last week at Arkansas, 42. So now you're going to LSU. You know Nussmeier likes to chuck it. And then you have a bye, and then they go on the road, I believe, to Missouri.
That is next. Where they go. They go.
So it was like a 5-week stretch where they're not going to play a home game. They're not going to play a home game until November 15th. And we've talked about the Arkansas scene, and they went there and just got it done. You know, Arkansas walked in the back door. Fine. Happy for those that had Arkansas. Yeah. And then you had this one with all the demons, with everything. It was 12 since 2010. LSU was 12-2 ATS against A&M. Like, that's a demon. And Elko just walks in with his glasses and his hat and his
grind
hoodie and
says,
on
his shirt.
I've loved the dude forever.
Yeah,
and,
you have.
He had his guys dialed in tonight in a tough spot, because you mentioned you're thinking about Reed and what he's done. He went right down the field 2 times to start the game, and then all of a sudden two tip balls.
Right, which is why
he doesn't blink. He doesn't blink.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's what's awesome.
And before those 2 picks, I'm thinking, why don't we talk about him more? And then that happens. How do you respond? Like that, 35 straight to start the second half. And there was a lot that was involved in that, obviously. But it just speaks to the totality of a team that is all 3 phases, literally all 3 phases, that were demonstrably better than an LSU team on its home field backed up against the wall that had to have it. They got folded, man. Folded.
Yeah. And it was cool being with Ty and Jake, Herbie's sons, who went to middle school with Marcel Reed, and we got to hang out all weekend. And they were going to the game with Herbie, and they're like, I can't wait to see him. Like, and then they showed like his high school highlights. Dude got some game, playing some hoop too. But it was really
that.
Cool, like
kind
being
of like
a Nashville kid,
kind of like a state champion in hoops, like my guy Stanford Steve. You didn't know that about my man. He was a dangerous 4 and down in the valley back in the day.
No, but it was cool. A lot of Nashville things to know. I learned here.
Go.
Saw after an unfortunate loss last night. Saw our coach Hasselbeck. Tough loss. Went down to number 1 Baylor in Chattanooga. Couldn't get it done. But he showed up the game day. He'll be on the show with you tomorrow night. But
enjoy my time with him. Did you go see some live music, Steve? Other than what we saw on the show today, Kenny and Dirks entertaining the folks.
Those guys, unbelievable. There was live music where I went to eat. Does that count?
Fine. We all know you don't like. That's fine. You don't have to do what you do. Hey, can I interest you?
This place is absolute wreckage.
I bet it is.
They just don't like to go to sleep here.
It's fine.
That's a problem when you're doing a morning show. You got to get out of the mix.
That's fair. You know what they need? Some cleaning products. That's aisle 4. We have buckets. We got mops, squeegees. Come on.
You have a hat on.
I still have it on. I'm gonna leave it on for a little while. I feel good about it. I feel official.
Oh man.
I feel like,
you know where everything is in that store.
I know what I need to know. I know where my go-tos, my bird seed. I know where that is. I don't know what the name is. It's something hot meats. It's just spice on
easy with. They gotta.
Yeah, you gotta pay. Hey.
Yeah.
How about send some product? I'm out here just handing it out for free. You're supposed to pay for that. Yeah. So Nashville's. But you know what? We'll get to them obviously. And what a 2-week run for Vanderbilt. Anchor down doors. Welcome LSU and Missouri as favorites both. Win them both. They don't tear down the goalpost and chuck them in the river. There needs to be an expectation. Seems like there is.
And there was.
That's right.
There was.
Well, and they've earned that right.
There really was.
They've earned that right. It's about Pavia. I saw a Feldman's article about Barton Simmons and the idea that the arrogance of this guy to think he's a certain level that he really isn't, and then maybe actually he is, right? At some point, does that unfounded belief actually have substance that's rooted in truth? You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting you mention that, because there is a lot. Like when I show up at Tuscaloosa for game day, his brothers are front row at game day. And I'm like, did you guys really camp out last night? And there was just maybe a, turn of the head. You're like, we're here. That's our guy. We're going to be here for our guy. So I do my pick today, and then we go to commercial break. Bargetzi's coming up. Place is mayhem. And I look out to them, and they're like pointing at me. Because I said before I made my pick, I'm like, if you're going to be a Heisman Trophy winner, you can't fumble inside the 10-yard line and throw a pick inside the 10-yard line.
Just saying.
But I don't expect that from you today, because this is a different circumstance. You're a better player. You're at home. And then they're pointing back at me. So literally after the show, everybody's going their own ways. One of the Papia brothers got the flag. Yo, appreciate the pick. I appreciate the pick. Let's get a pick. I'm like, guys, you are running this town. And we start talking, and I'm like, where are you guys for game time? I said, well, I'm gonna be in there for kickoff. I was like, they don't let you guys on the field. They're like, no. We got our own section. But it was awesome, man. It's belief, Scott. It really is, man. The whole thing from Pavia to Clark Lee, bringing this in for the university, the millions of dollars, just thrown around like they're 5s and 10s, and the basketball facility, unbelievable.
Well, yeah, no, they're pulling some big time. They're pulling some big time players in that space. Unfortunately, I know it because Maryland went head to head with them on a couple of guys, and they got both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Thing about those universities that once you add the athletic excellence to the academic excellence in Nashville, and Nashville's going to sell itself. Vanderbilt's always been a great school, and now all of a sudden Vanderbilt's top 10 game days there, and they're a legitimate playoff team. And in the same way that we've talked about this a lot, people for years, when Clemson had its top of the mountain run, they became a great institution and applications went through the roof. Alabama has enjoyed that for 20 years now, 15 anyway. And Vanderbilt's going to have a whole different level. The problem is you're going to be attracting a bunch of knuckleheads like me that's going to, I'll go there. No, you won't. You need 4.0 and $1 million on your SAT or ACT. But they've always had dough, and now all of a sudden you're in a different space where you could spend your cash. And Pavia's a difference maker. But you know what's funny, Steve? They didn't win this game today because of him. No. They won because they were able to win an ugly slugfest where Missouri turns it over on downs, loses its quarterback, banks one off the upright, and then hits a home run on the very next play. So instead of 6-3 Missouri, it's 10-3 U. And I give Missouri all the credit in the world. Zollers, right? Zollers, the true freshman from Pennsylvania, I think he is. He comes in and does a more than admirable job, I'd say, thrown into the fire. Gave him a chance. It's a 10-10 game, and then you lose the ball at midfield. So, and then Vandy goes down and scores to win the game, and they survive a Hail Mary that comes up fractionally short. But what I'm saying is they've won games where they scored big numbers and their defense was, I don't know. Now you win a 17-10 game against a ranked SEC team. This is real life. This is Vanderbilt we're talking about. Imagine that.
I didn't know what I was getting into, Scott. Desmond and I stayed for the game, and we walk in, and they're like, yeah, you're going to go right down. You get dropped off. Just walk down that sidewalk. You'll be on the field. I'm like, what? And I literally have, because the walkthrough on Friday was at the indoor facility. So this is my first time walking in the stadium. And I've always watched Vanderbilt baseball. And whenever you see the third baseline, you see the football bleachers on the side. So literally I walk in, I'm like, really?
I'm like, tiny.
It's just one tier.
But as opposed to say Knoxville, right? As opposed to Knoxville or T-Town or San
Bryant Denny.
That's what I'm saying.
Georgia last week. And I'm like, this is awesome because it's filled, and I'll give a lot of credit. Missouri travels. Missouri had 25% of the stadium. Now, I don't know what the numbers are, but 25% of that stadium today was Missouri. And I'm like, this is going to be absolutely awesome. And what I didn't realize is that it is literally as tight as when you watch and you've been to Norman or Oklahoma State. There's no room on the sidelines.
Right.
Like it is tight. Chris Budden was the sideline reporter, and she's like, look at this, huh? And like,